What's up, guys? Christian Duke, StrengthAddicts.com. Everybody seems to be talking about Kai Greene and Stranger Things 2. I'm a huge fan of Stranger Things 1 and 2. You can watch it on Netflix. Great series. Talked about it this week on MD Noble Weekly episode 21. And I'm talking about it here, StrengthAddicts.com, our official YouTube, youtube.com/users/StrengthAddicts. And I got to tell you, Kai Greene is somebody that, quite frankly, could do just about anything that he sets in front of himself. You know what I mean? He could be a great movie star, which he is. And we're not just talking about Stranger Things. We're talking about Generation Iron. I mean, let's not forget that was a major motion film. Okay? He could be a great politician, just like I said on Noble Weekly. I mean, people really relate to him. And, you know, I think one of the real biggest things about being a successful politician is that people trust you. People can relate to you. People, think that you are someone that has what it takes because you're an optimist, because you're a realist, because most politicians are pessimists. It's kind of like you go to a doctor. Let's say, God forbid, you have a terminal illness, and you go to the doctor, and the doctor says, you got about a month or two to live. Shit, a month or two to live, I'm done. And then you live 6 months. Who looks like a hero there? The doctor. And the doctor might have known all along that you could live up to 6 months if you took care of yourself, if you slept well, if you drank enough water, that kind of thing, if your stress levels were low, if you took your medications always on time and when they were supposed to. That's like triple the amount of time that he initially told you. But a lot of doctors are pessimists. So they figure, well, if somebody could live 2 months to 6 months, I'm going to tell the person he's going to die in 2 months. And then if he lives 6 months and, Kai Greene is an optimist. Tad the diet coach is an optimist. You know what I mean? They think in terms of positivity. They think in terms of being that one exception to the rule, that one miracle, if you will. And, people like that. And that's why a lot of people, I think, like Donald Trump, because Donald Trump was an optimist. He is someone that really believes in the American dream and really believes, a liberal, it's not that a liberal doesn't believe in the American dream, but a liberal is like, well, there's socioeconomic inequality, there's discrimination, there's sexism, there's racism, there's xenophobia, there's regional issues, there's, linguistic issues. So a liberal is such a realist that comes off as being almost a pessimist. Whereas someone like a Donald Trump, and I'm not trying to compare Tad or Kai or them to Donald Trump, but someone like Donald Trump is like, no, American dream's alive and well. If you work hard, you will prosper. And Kai Greene is kind of like that in the sense that, he came from a tough background, maybe didn't have the best childhood, maybe didn't have all the opportunities that so many of us have. But that didn't matter. He became an IFBB pro. He won an Arnold Classic. He got to be second at the Mr. Olympia. To a lot of people, he's the greatest. He had a great contract with Muscle Meds. Now he owns his own supplement company, or at least a very large portion of it, if not the majority. He's going on tour all around the world. He's a movie star. And so if he were to ever run for office, like Arnold, people would see this. And they would see that Kai is a self-made man. They would see that Kai is always thinking about the future and positivity and inspiring and never dwelling on any shortcomings. And people like that because they think that he will bring that same work ethic to whatever public office he holds and thereby make the institution better and more effective and more efficient. And so I think what frustrates me and probably frustrates a lot of bodybuilding fans is that you see Kai Greene and you see that he could become anything he wants. He could gain any title he wants. But he doesn't seem to have that fire to win a Mr. Olympia. And as bodybuilding fans who, number one, are tired of seeing Phil Heath win, not because Phil Heath's a bad guy, he's not. But it's boring when one person dominates for 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 years in Phil Heath's case. And I say that even when thinking of Ronnie Coleman or Lee Haney. It's nothing against the bodybuilder. it's just boring for the sport for one person or even one team like the Chicago Bulls. You know, they would win everything after those two back-to-back Detroit Pistons championships, because Michael Jordan was in the league at the time, and Bulls couldn't touch the Pistons those 2 years. But what I'm saying is that it just gets boring. So it's frustrating because Kai is really the only person who could beat Phil Heath without requiring Phil to come in off, without requiring Phil to have an injury, without requiring any of that. I mean, Kai at 100% could beat Phil at 100%. Okay? It's also frustrating because Kai is somebody that could hold the title for a while. He's someone that is liked by a lot of people. And I think if you add up the Facebook numbers and you add up the Twitter numbers and the Instagram numbers, a case could be made that Kai is more popular than Phil Heath. And that's also frustrating because he can win. He's more popular. And he has this aura about him and this positivity about him that would make him an amazing ambassador for the sport of bodybuilding. So he'd be a great ambassador. He's got the physique. He could hold on to the title. He's popular, but it seems like he just doesn't want it. And I think we could very, very easily see another Lou Ferrigno in Kai, in the sense that, you know, Lou Ferrigno wanted to win a Mr. Olympia, but got the Incredible Hulk. And once he got the Incredible Hulk, he became a movie star. And we didn't see him on an Olympia stage for almost 20 years, 15 years later for the Masters Olympia. Maybe actually 20 years later. You know what I mean? And, but I think, without disrespecting Lou, I think Kai is going to be bigger than Lou. I think Kai is going to be sort of a cross between Lou Ferrigno and Arnold Schwarzenegger. I totally see Kai Greene running for office one day. I mean, he's got the story. You couldn't make that story up. That's a perfect story to run for office, or I could see him possibly leading a Fortune 500 company, you know, being a chief executive officer. I'm not even talking about CFO or CSO or CIO or whatever those other, I'm talking about the top guy. I'm talking about a board of trustees saying, we want this guy to run the whole thing. We want this guy to be the CEO. This is the kind of guy that could whip us into shape. This is the kind of guy that could motivate all of the presidents and the vice presidents and the secretaries and all of the officers and all the managers, and we could send them all around the country, and people would say, that's our CEO. That's the face of our company. I mean, even the board of trustees would get excited. The investors would get excited. They'd want to get their dividends autographed by the Predator, Kai Greene. You know what I mean? So I could see him, you know, I see him as going into movies, but after that, I see him either, you know, leading up a Fortune 500 company, or, you know, running for office, maybe like the mayor of some city. You know what I mean? Maybe like the mayor of Brooklyn or something like that. And Brooklyn's a borough, so it'd be the borough president. I don't know. I could just see him doing like all sorts of stuff, you know. But just sadly, I just don't see him wanting to become Mr. Olympia. Nonetheless, very, very good job on Stranger Things.